Okay, so section 6-1 deals with exponents, okay? And just so we all understand, exponents and powers, they're the same thing, okay? And I know that you were taught this in middle school, but let's review it a little bit here. If I was to give you, let's get very basic. If I give you 5 to the power of 2, okay? Most popular wrong answer is 10. 5 to the power of 2 does not mean 5 times 2. It means 5 times 5. So it means 5 times. Now, if you know this, if you're sitting there going, I know this.
You're good.
You know, I mean, here's what I would suggest is this. I mean, students always ask, do I have to take notes? You don't have to do anything, okay? I would suggest you take notes. I think it's to your benefit to do it. But if I write something on the board here that you already know, like if you knew that, you're like, I know what that is. I'm not going to forget it. Don't bother. But if I put something down that's new, and there will be some new stuff today, I would really encourage you to jot that down. It's to your benefit, okay? So if I gave you 4 to the 3rd power, that doesn't mean 4 times 3. It means 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 times 4. Which, if you use a calculator, is 64.
That number right there.
That number that many times. Now, is that the same as 3 to the 4th? No.
No, because it's 3 times 3 times 3 times
3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And this one you should be able to do in your head, and I'll show you how.
Wait, so like 4 times 4 times 4, 4 times 4 is what?
16 times 4.
16, and then you times that 4 times.
30?
16 times 4. 64. So, 3 times 3 times 3 times. Here's what a lot of students do. Here's what they'll do. A lot of students go 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. And they'll go 27 times 3. I can't do that. Do it this
You
way.
go 9 times 9.
This is 9 and this is 9. 9 times 9 is 81. So, 27 times 3 is 81. Or you could have just said 9 times 9. So, that's 81. Okay? And just so you understand, the number you raise to the power is something called a base. That's your base. And again, is that your exponent or is that the power?
The power.
Easy.
Is it power or exponent?
I same thing.
It's the same thing. I say power, you say exponent. We're talking about the same thing, okay? Now, what I want you to understand is this. If I asked you this right here, 3 to the negative 2nd power. Here's some new stuff, okay? Now, 3 to the negative 2nd. 3 to the 2nd power, 3 squared, what would that be, 6? 9. Now, that's what everybody thinks. They think, well, negative, it's got to be negative 9. No, it's not. Here's what I want you to understand. I'm going to explain this several different times, several different ways, okay? And then we're going to make it really, really simple. If you pay attention, this is really, really simple stuff here, okay? 3 to the negative 2nd is not negative 9. What you need to understand is we don't like negative exponents. We don't like them, okay? So here's what you do. You make negative exponents into positive exponents. And here's how you do it. You can't just make it a positive. What you need to understand is this is the same as 1 over 3 to the positive 2nd. And what is 3 to the 2nd we just said? 9. The answer isn't negative 9, it's,
Positive.
well, 1 over
How do you do a
9.
fraction out of that?
That's how you do it. Well, negative exponent, here's what I want you to understand. If I give you any number, how do you make any number a fraction?
Put a 1 over it.
Put a 1
Under
where?
it.
Under
Under
it.
it.
Okay.
Not over.
So, here's what we do. 3 to the negative 2nd, make it a fraction. Put a 1 under it, okay? Here's what we do. If we have a negative, we don't like negative exponents. If I gave you something like this, I want to make sure you understand. 4.7 to the 8th power. I don't know what that is. Neither do you, okay? But I know what it means. It means 4.7, what? Times 4.7, times 4.7, I'm not going to say it 8 times, okay? Whatever that is, okay? I don't know what it is, I don't really care, okay? So, positive exponents are easy. We don't like negative exponents, so here's what we do. If you have a negative exponent on top, you know what you do with it? You put it to the bottom and it turns positive. The exponent turns positive, okay?
You're flipping your exponents.
Right, the base and the exponent. So if I give you this right here, 5 to the negative 3rd, that's the same as 1 over 5 to the positive 3rd. You move it to the bottom, and what happens to the exponent?
It's not.
It's not negative, it turns positive, okay? And what is 5 to the 3rd? What's 5 times 5 times 5? You should do this in your head. 5 times 5 is 25. How much is 5 quarters?
125.
100 to about 25. So it's 1 over 125. So what we just said with 2 examples are, if you have a negative exponent on top, you move it to the bottom. Any idea what you do with negative exponents on the bottom?
Move them
Move it to the top.
And what do you do with positive exponents?
Leave them.
Leave them. We like positive exponents. Do you guys know what this is? No,
idea.
but we know what it means. 4.7 times whatever that is, okay? So if you have a negative exponent on top move it on the bottom. It's on the bottom, move it to the top. It's a positive exponent, leave it alone. So, what if I gave you this? 2 to the negative third over 4 to the negative second. Do you like this right here?
No.
Why?
Because they're both negative.
I didn't ask you about the bottom. Do you like the top?
No.
Why?
Because it's negative.
What's negative?
The power.
The power. So what do I do with this 2 to the negative third on top? Put it on the bottom. What do I do with this? Do you like this 4 negative 2?
No,
Say just flip both of them.
Why
Put it
both
on
of them this
top.
time?
Oh, because they're both negative.
They're both negative. So on top we have 4 to the second. What's 4 to the second? It's not 8.
8. What?
16.
Why did I say 8?
Because that's 4 times 2.
And it's not 4 times 2, it's 4.
4 times
It's 4, which is
And then
over 2 to the third.
12.
Careful. 2 times 2 times 2. 8. And 16 over 8 is 2. Okay? All right, so we've talked about negative x. Now, this is where it gets really tricky, okay? Really tricky. If I give you this right here, gosh, these are tricky. Every year, there's lots of students that really struggle with this, okay? And if you learn everything in this class but this next example, that's fine, okay? You're going to miss some questions here and there, but it's okay. This is a really tough thing to figure out. If I give you this right here, what is squared here? Now listen to what I say. Hang on a second here. What is squared here? It says negative 3 squared. Watch real carefully.
No,
If
it's
you
the
watch,
2.
if you watch really, really carefully, you might get it. If you don't watch at all, you're gonna be totally lost. So it's, even if you watch carefully, it's really tough. What's raised to the power of 2?
The 3.
You said 3. What did you say? She says negative 3. He says 3. Only one of them's right. Okay. It's actually just 3. Just 3. Watch carefully. Okay. Because what this says here, it may sound kind of weird here. This doesn't say negative 3 squared. It says negative 3 squared. Okay. So what's squared?
Negative. So it's
So,
negative.
so 3 squared is
Oh, I see what you.
is what?
3.
What's
9.
3 squared?
9.
But that makes it.
Negative 9. Oh.
Now, watch carefully here. What's raised to the power of 2 here?
3.
The negative 3. What makes it the negative 3 this time?
Parentheses.
It's in parentheses. Negative 3 squared means negative 3 times negative 3. And what's a negative 3 times a negative 3?
Negative 9.
Negative times a negative is a.
Positive. So
So
positive.
do you get the same answer?
No.
No.
Oh, you don't. That's a tricky question. That is really tricky, okay? So, let's try something like this. If I gave you negative 4 to the negative third power, these start getting really tricky, okay? Negative, do you like that up there or not?
I don't like either.
Why? I'm looking for 2 words. What's negative?
Both of them.
Doesn't have to be both of them. What do we really not like? The power or the exponent is negative. We don't like negative exponents, okay? Now, what is raised to the negative third power? Only the 4.
So you
Only
put the
4.
parentheses
So
on?
here's what we do. We draw a fraction bar. And we take the base and the negative exponent and move it to the bottom. What is raised to the negative third power again? Only 4. So when I move it down here, what's going to be on bottom?
Positive.
4 to the,
Negative 3.
when you move it
Positive
though,
3.
the exponent changes. Now we still have the negative up here. I got to have something up here. What do I put? I got to put something.
The negative sign.
3.
Well, negative.
No, it's 3.
Negative
I got what?
1.
You got to have a 1 there. Some students think you put a 0 there. You don't put a 0 there.
1.
Because if you put a 0 there, there's nothing there. Okay. Okay. And 4 to the third is 64. So the answer would be negative 1 over 64. Let's do another one kind of like that. How about negative 5 to the negative second? What's to the negative second power?
5.
Negative 5.
Only, not negative 5,
Just the 5.
just the 5. Now if I did this, then
Then it
it's-
would be
then it'd be negative 5, okay? So, we draw our fraction bar, take our base and our exponent and
Which
move it to
would
the
be 5 and 2.
5 to the 2 where, on
And
top
then
or
you put
bottom?
it on the bottom, and then you put a negative 1.
And 5 squared is what? And don't say 10.
25.
So negative 1 over 25. Okay. One more thing we have to talk about, then we're going to dive into the assignment, okay? Everybody misses this one. Everybody does the first time, okay? And at first, as soon as I say this, pretty much everybody here is going to go, that doesn't seem right. That just doesn't seem right. I disagree, and I'll show you why. What if I gave you if I said, actually this one you should be able to get, what's 7 to the first power?
7.
Just 7. What's 12 to the first power? 12, okay? If I asked you what is 8 to the 0 power,
We would think
Zero.
but it's
you would
not.
think 0. It's not 0.
It's 8.
It's not 8.
Oh, because it's not times by anything.
It's
just-
nothing,
It's something. And this is where you're going to go, huh? 8 to the 0
It'd have to be 1.
is
I
1.
just said that.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Huh?
It's 1. It's 1. And I'm going to show you why here in just a second, okay?
Because don't you have to like prove?
Well, here's what we got. If I gave you this right here, if I gave you, let's try this. I'm going to use variables here, okay? Just watch for a second. You don't need to write this down. If I give you x to the third times x to the second, what does x to the third mean?
3 times that.
Not 3 times x.
X times
X times x times x. So x times x times x times, what's x squared mean?
X times X times X.
So what's x times x times x times x times x? X to the,
Fifth.
rather than write all these x's, is there a quicker way of doing this?
3
Yeah,
plus 2
just
equals 5.
multiply them.
When you times, you add the exponents. So what's x to the 7th times x to the 3rd? X to the
X to the 10th.
10th. When you times them, you add the exponents. Any idea what you do when you divide them?
Multiply?
When you times them,
Split 'em
you
off.
Oh, no,
add.
you subtract.
When you divide them, so what would this be? X to the what?
X to the 4.
Where'd you get 4 from?
6 minus 2.
6 minus 2. What's x10 over x2? x8. Okay? So, and x could be any number. X stands for any number, okay? So, it doesn't matter what number I plug in, okay? Now, what if I gave you this? What's 12 divided by 12?
1.
What's 8 divided by 8?
1.
When you divide something by itself, you get what?
1.
1. Keep that in mind. When you divide something by itself, you get 1. What's x6 over x6?
1.
1. But what are you supposed to do with these exponents?
Add.
When you divide, you,
Subtract.
so it'll be x to the what?
0.
And you said it also equals what?
Oh, x equals. Oh.
X to the
okay.
0 is 1.
Okay, I think.
And
I
x could be
Oh,
any
that makes
number.
sense.
Any number. Any number to the 0 power
So when it's
is
0
1.
power, you just put the equals 1?
It's always 1. Sort of. We still have to talk about this a little bit, okay? So, to the 0 power is 1. And it's weird because if I gave you 12 to the 0 and 7 to the 0, which one would you think is bigger?
12, 0.
But is it?
No.
What is
Both
this?
the same.
They're both 1.
What is, it's 1? They're the same. Now, here's where we're gonna, one last thing, I'm gonna dive into the assignment, okay? And this kind of deals with this problem right here. We said anything to the 0 is 1. But think about this problem right here. What's to the third power, what's to the second power here?
The 30.
3.
Negative 3.
What, 3 or negative 3?
3.
3. What's to the second power here?
Negative.
Negative 3. What would this be? What's negative 7 to the 0?
Negative 1?
7. It's-
Negative 1.
Oh.
Oh, yeah,
Here's
because
why.
the
What's to the 0 power?
The negative 7.
Just the 7. 7 to the 0 is 1.
But you got negative.
That makes it negative 1. What's this? What's to the 0 power here?
1.
Well, what's to the 0 power?
7.
Negative 7. So which is 1. So again, it sounds kind of weird. It's going to sound awkward when I say it. This one says negative 7 to the 0. This one says negative
To the
7 to the 0. Okay, it's saying take 7 to the 0, then slap a negative sign on it. Okay? All right, so these are tricky. Okay? All right, let's dive into the assignment. If you understand these rules, these problems are going to be really, really quick. And again, my goal is not for you to get good grades on your assignments. Okay? And again, that's not being mean. Okay? I want you to learn the material. You learn the material, the grade takes care of itself. Okay? All right. So again, don't just write stuff down. Some of you do a great job of, you know, if you don't understand something, you raise your hand. If you don't understand something, don't just, oh, whatever, I'll just write down 7. Okay? If you don't understand something, ask. Okay? All right, let's look at numbers. Whoops, I don't want that. Number 5. This is the very first question on 6-1.
I was waiting for it.
Okay, so we have. All right, geez, we just did this. The exact same question. What is raised to the power of 0 here?
Negative 7.
And what's negative 7 to the power of 0?
Negative 1.
Negative.
Is it negative 1 or 1?
Negative
1. No.
That's 1.
If I went like this, what's to the power of 0 here?
Seven.
Just 7,
And then it
which
was
is 1, and that makes it Negative 1. Here it's everything power 0. Just 1.
I don't like this.
And what's tricky is this. Let me throw one more curveball at you.
Great.
I don't know if I'll be able to catch it.
What's 0 to the third power?
3.
Zero.
0. Why?
0
Because
times anything
it's
0
itself.
times 0 times 0, 0. What's 0 to the fifth?
0.
So 0 to any power is what? Is 0. But anything to the 0 power is 1. So what's this? What's 0 to the 0?
0.
1.
1.
Is it 0 or is it 1?
No,
It's
it's
0.
not.
It's
No,
0.
because
It's
Anything to the 0 is 1. But 0 to any power,
It's 0, so it'd be 0.
but why isn't it 1?
negative 0.
Because it's just not 1.
Here's the deal. I'm pretty sure, I should look this up. This is something called indeterminate form. It can't be both. Okay, I don't think there actually is a value for it. And you can't split the difference and say, he says
Undefined.
0 and he says 1, we'll just say it's a half. You can't split the difference, that don't work, okay? That's what's called indeterminate form. There's not a, I think if you type that in a calculator, it'll say error, because it doesn't know what you're, syntax error?
Yeah, syntax.
yeah, it doesn't know what you're talking about, okay? So, don't worry about that, okay? Number 7, 5 to the negative 4th. I don't want negative exponents. So how can I rewrite 5 to the negative 4th? What do I do with that negative exponent on top?
Put a 1.
So,
Put a fraction.
No, put a
on-
fraction bar.
and put 5 to the negative 4th where?
On the
On the
bottom.
bottom.
And is it 5 to the negative 4th?
5
5
to
to
the
the
4th.
positive.
I gotta have something on top here.
Negative.
Well, we had negatives before, so it was
1, you gotta
negative.
have a 1.
A 1. And 5 to the 4th, is that 20? Why did I say
No,
20?
It's 5
Because
times.
it's
5 times 4. It's not 5 times 4, it's 5
Times
times 5 times 5 times 5. I believe it's 625. You checking that, Melania?
It is.
So the answer is 1 over 625. Negative exponents don't make your answer negative. It puts it under a 1. Number 9. Okay, 2 negative 4 or 4 0. Okay, 2 to the negative 4th over 4 to the 0. Well, let's do the easier part first. What's 4 to the 0?
4.
1.
1.
Yep.
So we have 2 to the negative 4th over 1. What happens when you divide by 1?
You get 1.
You just get a whole number.
You get itself. So that's the same as just 2 to the negative 4th. Dividing by 1 doesn't do anything. What is 2 to the negative 4th the same as? I don't want negative exponents.
2 to the power.
2 to the 4th on bottom.
Oh, yeah.
What's on top?
1.
1.
2 to the 4th, it's not 8. It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2?
16.
Slow down. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. Times 2 is.
16.
So is my final answer 16?
No, it's 1.
Over
16.
16.
I thought it was 24 for me.
Number 11. Okay. Negative 3 to the negative 3rd power over 6 to the negative 2. Actually, I wrote that wrong a little bit. I don't know why they have parentheses around this. Let's get these parentheses off there. Take those parentheses off. Okay. Do you like either exponent?
No.
Why?
Because they're
Because they
negative.
have-
Because they're negative. So, what am I going to do with this negative 3 to the negative 3rd on top?
You put it on the bottom.
Now, be careful. Are both negatives going to change?
Yes.
No.
Only
They're
the
not
one,
gonna change. That's the power.
only the power.
changes.
So what's going to be on bottom?
Negative.
Negative 3 to the
3.
3rd. Do you like this 6 negative 2 on bottom?
No.
No.
Why?
Because it's ugly.
I tell you what. If it was written like this, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't like negatives?
We don't like
We don't like
negative
negative
powers.
powers.
Being negative.
So what do I do with this 6 negative 2 on the bottom?
You bring
Bring it
up to
to the top. What do we do with positive exponents?
Bring them to the bottom.
Positive exponents.
I'll leave them.
Leave them. You could move them, but guess what would happen?
They would become negative.
And then what would you do?
Have to
You'd bring them
remove
back.
it.
You're just spinning your wheels. Okay? So 6 to the positive 2. What is 6 squared? Don't say 12.
36.
6 times 6, 36. What's negative 3 to the 3rd? What's negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3?
Negative.
3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3.
Negative 18.
3 times 3 is?
Negative.
9 times 3.
27.
27. Now,
Wouldn't it be negative?
yep, I didn't say it, but I did. Now, if you type this in your computer, it's going to say you're wrong. I want to make sure you guys understand. This is an improper. I talked to you guys about improper fractions before, haven't I? Improper doesn't mean incorrect. Okay? Improper simply means the top is bigger than the bottom. This is improper. If you type it in, the computer's going to say you're wrong because it does simplify. What number goes into 36 that also goes into 27? 9 goes into 36. How many times?
Uh,
4. 9 goes into 27.
Three.
3. Okay. Improper's okay, but you got to have it simplified. Okay, let's do an easy one, a real easy one. 13. Write this without negative exponents. X to the negative 7 power.
You go, let's do an easy one, a real easy one, and then just pick the next one.
Huh? What? This is easy. What do? First thing I do is real simple. Draw a fraction bar.
No, but you're like, let's just pick an easy one, and then you go right down to the next question.
This is an easy one. What do I do with that x negative 7? You like that x negative 7?
No, we need to put it to the bottom.
And it's what? X to the what?
7.
I got to put some up here.
And then on 1.
Done. That one.
Okay, what was easy?
15. Okay, number 15. Just a few more. All right.
Said 5 or 6.
Oh, these ain't that hard.
4, 5, 6.
9x0. They want you to simplify this. 9x to the 0. Y to the negative, what does that say? Y negative 3. Y negative 3. Now, I don't know if I've said this to this class before. I just want to make sure. When it says 9x, I mean, I don't see any symbols in between here. They're there, you just don't see them. If you don't see a symbol, it's always what?
It's bad.
It's multiplication. And what I mean is this. Put this on hold. 2x minus 1 equals 7. How do we solve that? What's the first thing we do?
Subtract 2.
Add 1. Why did we add 1? Because it's the opposite of subtracting 1.
And it's farther away.
Okay? That's farther away. Now, how do I get rid of this? Listen carefully. Why do we divide by 2?
Because you want to get x by itself.
Why don't we subtract 2?
What's multiplication?
2x means 2 times. If you don't see a symbol, it's always multiplication, okay? So what is 9x0, y negative 3? 9 what? Times x0 times y negative 3, okay? Well, what is x to the 0?
0.
Now 0.
1.
Anything to the 0 is 1. So 9, I'm going to write 9 times 1 times y negative 3. And 9 times 1 is 9. Do we like this final answer?
It's okay.
No. What don't we like about it?
Negative 3.
We hate negative exponents. We don't like them. On any of the problems, if you do put an answer in that has a negative exponent, it's going to be wrong, okay? Be careful here. I don't see it. We haven't talked about this yet. 9 has an exponent. You don't see it. It's there. It's a 1. So we draw a fraction bar. Do I move this 9?
No.
Why?
Because it's positive.
What's positive?
The power.
The power.
Yeah.
Not the one, so leave it alone. 9 to the first. Do I move this y negative 3?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's.
What's negative?
Power is negative.
So I move it to the bottom, it's what, y negative 3 on bottom?
No,
Y
y
Y
Y
positive.
positive 3. And 9 to the first is what?
No.
9. 9 over y3. No more than 3 more. They're quick ones though. 17. Keep that in mind. We hate negative exponents. And let's make it real simple. In 2 words. I want two-word responses, okay? Think about it for a second. You only get to say 2 words. What do you do with negative exponents?
Put them
Bottom.
At the
on
bottom.
the bottom or the top.
Down bottom.
Or anything to, not flip them, move them. What do we do with positive exponents?
Leave 'em.
Leave them. You leave them, okay? All right, so number 17. We have 2 to the negative 2. M to the negative 3, I think it says. Let me look again. And 0. What's n to the 0? What's anything to 0? 1. And when you divide by 1, what happens? What happens when you divide by 1? It's just the same thing. So you know we can do this n0?
Cross it.
Cross out, we don't need it. What's our next step? It's really, really simple. It's really simple.
You need to get that 2.
You're making it harder than this, even simpler.
-2.
Equal sign, fraction bar.
Equals draw a fraction bar.
Because we have.
Do you like that 2 negative 2?
No.
Why?
Because the-
Powers.
So what do you do with it? 2 words.
Bring it down
We
to the
put it on the
bottom.
bottom and change it to a positive.
Can you sum that up in 2 words? What do I do with that negative
Move
exponent?
it.
Move it. 2, 2. You like that m negative 3?
No.
So what do?
Bring it.
Move it. I gotta have something on top.
One.
One.
Okay, what is 2 squared?
4.
So 1 over 4m3. Okay, 4 negative 3, a0. What does 4 negative 3, a0 mean? 4 negative 3 plus a0? Times. So let's put a times right there. Over what? B negative 7. What's a to the 0?
1.
1. And what happens when you times by 1?
You get one.
What happens when you times by 1? Does it do anything?
No.
So you know what I can do with this a0? Cross it out. What do I do? Next step's an easy step.
Equal sign.
Equal
fraction
sign.
bar.
Fraction bar. You like that 4 negative 3?
No.
So do what with
Move
it? Move it to the bottom. Make it 4 positive 3 on bottom.
And
You
then
like
we
it?
gotta move the bottom to the top.
Why?
Because it's a negative 7.
And we don't like negatives.
We hate, oops, do you like what I just wrote?
No?
No.
Because it's still a negative.
Because it's
Why
still a
didn't you
negative.
change it?
Should be a positive. And what is 4 to the third? It's not 12. It's not 4 times 3. It's 4 times 4
36,
times 4.
8.
64.
32.
64.
So B7 over 64. 21, last one I think, for today. Yep, 21, last one. 2, 2, y negative 6. 2, 2, y negative 6 over 8 negative 1, z0. I think that's what it says. 8 negative 1, z0. That's a z. I put lines through them so they don't look like 2's. X negative 7. Okay, what part of this can we cross off?
Well, on the bottom we can times, because there's an X.
Right, but what can I cross? I could cross off part of this we don't even need.
The 0.
What are we doing with this and this and this? Are we adding these? We're
No,
timesing.
one.
And what's this? What's z to the 0?
1.
And what happens when you times by 1?
You get
Get
1.
the same number.
You don't get 1, you get
Zero.
the same thing. So we don't even need that. Cross that out. Fraction bar. We're going to move that 2, 2?
No.
Why?
Because we
Because
like
it's
it.
positive.
Why?
If we
What's
do
positive?
The power.
Power, so leave it alone. You like that y negative 6?
No.
Move it. Y 6 on bottom. You like that 8 negative 1?
No.
Why?
Because it's
Because
the
it's a-
power's
So put it up here. 8 to the positive 1. You like that x negative 7?
No.
Move it. X positive 7. Now, what's between 2, 2 and 8, 1? I don't see it.
Multiplication.
Multiply. Okay? What's 2 squared? 4 times 8 to the first
8.
times x 7
1.
or y 6. And what's 4 times 8? X 7. 4 times 8 is 32. 32 what? X 7 over y 6. Question.
Wow.
Can I run better than blow my nose? Get
Yeah.
me running.
Yeah. You got a mask on, just, wipe it around.
Yeah, and then I have to.
Yeah.
That is one good thing about these masks. We were playing our ball game last night. Micah Payne got a bloody nose. I'm like, you normally get a bloody nose, you have to come out of the game. You have to. And I'm like, dude, you got a mask on, but it started gushing. It was like he had to. So I shoved some tissue up there and then put the mask over it and he could play with a bloody nose.
Ethan did. Ethan just stuck a piece of tissue up there and put his mask on.
Yeah, that's the one good thing about these masks is because normally in a game, if there was blood, if you had a tissue in there with the blood coming out, they wouldn't let you play.
Me.
But the mask will hide it a little bit.
Phoenix last night, he had a wart on his. Someone opened it and he was just gushing blood all
Oh,
over
yeah?
the floor.
Huh.
He's running down the.
Still won't top getting your tooth half chopped off like
Yeah, Caden.
Caden.
Yeah, that happened.
All right, so what I'd like you guys to do is this. Tomorrow during virtual day, I don't expect you to get all of them done, but the evens that we skipped over, it's like about 10 questions or so. Look them over, you should be able to do a few of them, okay? The stuff that we have left in this section is easier, okay? It's definitely easier. Yeah, you'll like what's left. Okay, all right. Rest of the time.